Hello and welcome to Data Month 2019. The History of Data. Lieutenant Commander Data was a Soong-type android, the first and only of such ever to enter Starfleet. Data was created sometime in the 2330s and was killed in 2379, sacrificing himself to save the crew of the USS Enterprise-E. Specifications. Data was comprised of 24.6 kilograms of tripolymer composites, 11.18 kilograms of molybdenum cobalt alloys, and 1.3 kilograms of bioplast sheeting. All told, his mass was approximately 100 kilograms. Data's upper spinal support was a polyalloy designed to withstand extreme stress. His skull was comprised of cordonite and deuterium. His legs were exactly 87.2 centimeters in length. Data was built with the ultimate storage capacity of 800 quadrillion bits, or approximately 100,000 terabytes, and a totally linear computational speed relating at 60 trillion operations per second. However, he later augmented his computational speed by converting his interlink sequencer to an ensiocentric mode of operation, removing the performance constraint created by the virtue of having space between the positronic links. His computational speed became virtually instantaneous after his modification. Data's construction also included an artificial tongue and tear ducts. Data's physical and mental capabilities were far superior to that of virtually any organic or cybernetic humanoid, including humans, Klingons, and even Borg drones. His strength was such that he was capable of holding a 1950s automobile at bay against the full force of its engine with a single hand. These superhuman capabilities made him an important asset to the Enterprise-D, and the fact that he was either unaffected or highly resistant to conditions such as disease, radiation, oxygen deprivation, mind control, and chemical imbalance was crucial to the survival of the ship on numerous occasions. However, he was apparently more vulnerable than either humans or Klingons to atmospheric conditions that involved the presence of high concentrations of ions. As a Soong-type android, Data was incapable of alcohol intoxication, yet components in his processing systems were susceptible to disruptions by polywater intoxication. He did not require sustenance, but occasionally ingested semi-organic nutrient suspension in a silicon-based liquid medium to lubricate his biofunctions. First try. Though capable of consuming more traditional foods and drink, Data had no sense of taste, therefore tended not to bother eating. Data also did not sleep, nor apparently did he require rest of any kind, though he had attempted to sleep from time to time, presumably simply to emulate humans more thoroughly. He appeared to have remained almost consistently active before 2369. After this date, Data suffered an incident which activated a series of circuits in his positronic net that allowed him to experience dreams. After this, he began sleeping regularly in order to experience these dreams. Data also demonstrated an immunity to telepathy and other psychic abilities. Deanna Troi could not sense him empathically, nor was he affected by the telepathic broadcasts of the Bendai syndrome that affected Sarek. This was known to trouble him to a certain degree, as he believed that it was possible that there were simply nothing real in his mind for these individuals to read, that his consciousness was comprised only of algorithms and programmed responses. However, the highly gifted Betazoid Tam Elbrum disagreed with this possibility, believing that Data was simply different. In fact, Tam greatly appreciated this quality in Data, as it meant that he had to talk with Data to understand his personality, rather than involuntarily receiving that information telepathic, as tended to be the case when he interacted with other humanoids. Data had an aging program designed to simulate the external effects of aging in his physical appearance. The blinking of his eyes were governed by a Fourier series to simulate randomness. In 2369, Dr. Julian Bashir further expressed his fascination for all the trouble Dr. Soon took to make Data seem human. He was especially surprised with regard on how personable Data was. He also questioned Data about whether his hair grew and observed that Data was breathing and had a pulse. His circuitry system was designed to produce biometric lubricants and regulate microhydraulic power, and his respiratory system helped to maintain thermal control of his internal system. Neither system was entirely necessary, however, as Data was known to be capable of functioning for extended periods in a vacuum, and while able to withstand exposure to space without suffering any problems. Also, Lore spent 2 years in open space and didn't die. Data seemed to favor his left hand for tasks such as painting, using a pen, gun tricks, and more. He was completely ambidextrous, however, and was even capable of performing such tasks as painting 2 pieces at once. Before 2370, Data was apparently incapable of swimming, as his body structure was too dense for him to float in water. Data rectified this problem as of 2375 and installed some sort of flotation device within his body, which was buoyant enough to support not only his own weight but that of others. Data always sought to be more human in his behavior, sometimes with unfortunate results. His attempts at humor were not successful, nor were his attempts at romance and love. He maintained a relationship with Janet Tesora, but it did not last long. Besides humor and romance, Data also intended to avoid using contractions in regular speech, as he had difficulty defining the nuanced occasions on which they were used, although this was part of his programming by Dr. Soon. During his stay on board the Enterprise D, Data kept a cat as his pet, whom he named Spot. Spot was quite fussy in her relationships. Besides Data, she only enjoyed the company of Reginald Barclay. She also had kittens in 2370. In 2371, Spot survived the destruction of the Enterprise. Data, newly imbued with emotions as a result of his emotion chip, cried tears of joy over Spot's survival. Data began using an emotion chip in 2371, about a year after he acquired it from his brother Lore. At first he had some difficulties adjusting to the onslaught of emotions, as simple things such as scanning for life forms on a planet caused him great pleasure, whereas, by contrast, Data was temporarily immobilized with terror when put in a situation where he could experience fear for the first time. He eventually learned to control the feeling. After the initial adjustment period, he was able to activate and deactivate the chip's functioning within his positronic net, and later even to remove it completely in situations where emotions would be a hindrance. By 2379, Data was expected to succeed Commander Riker as first officer, following Riker's promotion to captain on the USS Titan. En route to Beta Z for the second phase of Riker's wedding to Counselor Troy, the Enterprise discovered B4, one of 3 prototype Soon-type androids Data had learned about years earlier. Physically identical to him, but having a less sophisticated positronic brain. Trying to help him become more human, Data copied his own memories into B4's positronic net. Before Data could take the role of first officer of the Enterprise was ordered to Romulus, where a new praetor, Shinzon, had come to power. Shinzon's self-assured good intentions, however, were soon found to be false. In reality, Shinzon was discovered to be a clone of Captain Picard, and due to genetic degeneration, he was in need of Picard's blood in order to restore his life. After Shinzon's vessel, the Scimitar, had all but destroyed the Enterprise, Shinzon planned to eliminate the crew with his Thalaron radiation weapon before turning it on Earth. Though Picard was able to defeat Shinzon in hand-to-hand combat, Picard was trapped on board the Scimitar due to damage to the Enterprise transporters. With no other option, Data elected to physically jump into the vacuum of space through a hull breach in the forward section of the Enterprise, and force his way aboard the Scimitar from the outside. Proceeding to the Scimitar bridge, Data utilized a prototype emergency transport unit concealed in his forearm to return Picard to the Enterprise. With a Thalaron radiation weapon seconds from firing, Data used his phaser to destroy it, which resulted in the complete destruction of the Scimitar, and Data as well. As the crew mourned the loss of their fallen comrade, Captain Picard attempted to explain Data's uniqueness to B4, though to the crew's dejection, the android did not understand. However, B4 soon began to quietly sing the same song Data had previously sung, Blue Skies, at Riker's wedding to himself. Though Data was gone, perhaps his memories would continue to live on. Thank you for watching the history of Data. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you can. If you already have, thank you, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.